Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news tonight on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. In an extraordinary development, 4 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court publicly questioned the functioning of the Chief Justice of India and the Apex Court, demand an inquiry. CJI meets Attorney General on the matter. Highly placed government sources say the issues raised by the 4 judges are an internal matter of the judiciary and the government has no role in it. Senior lawyers and political leaders divided over the public criticism of the CJI by the judges. ISRO hits a century of successful satellite launches. In a New Year's gift to the country, PSLV places 31 satellites, including 28 of other countries, in orbit. President, Vice President and the Prime Minister laud the feat. On National Youth Day, to commemorate the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges on youth to become job creators. Vice President M Venkaiah Naidu says Vivekananda's teachings more relevant today to counter divisive forces. And manufacturing sector's robust performance takes IIP growth to 17-month high of 8.4% in November, but retail inflation proves to be a dampener at 5.21% for December, dashing hopes of a rate cut. Well, in an unprecedented development earlier today, 4 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court addressed the media on the functioning of the Supreme Court. The judges, who included Justice J. Chalameshwar, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, Justice Madan B. Lokur and Justice Kurian Joseph, claimed the administration of the Supreme Court is not in order. The government reacted to the development, calling it an internal matter of the judiciary.
In an extraordinary development, 4 senior judges of the Supreme Court went public against the Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, listing out problems that they claimed are afflicting the country's highest court and putting democracy at stake.
It's an extraordinary event in the history of any nation, and more particularly this nation, and an extraordinary event in the history of this institution of judiciary. It is with no pleasure in our hearts we were compelled to take this decision to call for a press conference. But sometime the administration of the Supreme Court is not in order. There are many things which are less than desirable which have happened in the last few months.
The 4 judges, who included Justice J. Chalameshwar, the second senior judge after the Chief Justice of India, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, Justice M. B. Lokur and Justice Kurian Joseph, claimed that many less than desirable things have happened in the last few months. In their 7-page letter to the CJI that was released to the press, they said it is too well settled in the jurisprudence of this country that the Chief Justice is only first amongst the equals, nothing more or nothing less.
We try to collectively persuade the Chief Justice that certain things are not in order, therefore he should take remedial measures. But since all our efforts failed, even this morning on a particular issue, 4 of us went and met the Honorable the Chief Justice of India with a specific request, which we could not unfortunately convince him that we were right and the appropriate decision is to be taken. We couldn't convince him. Therefore, we were left with no choice except to communicate it to the nation that please take care of the institution and take care of the nation.
Dismissing questions on whether they had broken ranks by addressing the media, the judges said their action was a discharge of debt to the nation.
Whatever Justice Chalameshwar has told you is the whole of it. It's a discharge of a debt to the nation that has brought us here, and we think that we have discharged a debt to the nation by telling you what is what.
The unscheduled press conference is the first of its kind event in India. Soon after it ended, Attorney General K.K. Venugopal, who was called by the CJI, said the unprecedented move could have been avoided. He also said the judges will now have to act with statesmanship to ensure complete harmony. News agency PTI quoted highly placed government sources saying the issues raised by the 4 judges are an internal matter of the judiciary. However, they added that the apex court should settle the issue at the earliest as the faith of the people in the judiciary is at stake. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The decision of the 4 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court to hold a press conference has been termed unprecedented by the legal fraternity. Some experts termed it as shocking, while others said there could be compelling reasons for such a move.
There is no interference by any courtage. If the judge is independent, he is independent. None can control him. Executive means who? Minister, MP or anybody? Do you think that an MP will go and tell the Chief Justice to decide his case accordingly? Will he take the risk? And the judge says that, he had come. What is the future of that person?
डेमोक्रेसी खतरे में कैसे है? हमारे पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है, हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर अपॉइंटमेंट हुई है, जजेस हमारे हैं, हाई कोर्ट्स चल रही हैं, कोर्ट्स लोअर कोर्ट्स चल रही हैं, पुलिस सिस्टम चल रहा है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर चल रहा है. ये डेमोक्रेसी खतरे में कैसे आ गई? सिर्फ इन चारों की वजह से खतरे में आ गई जो डेमोक्रेसी.
I personally think it is very unprecedented. It normally should not be done, but these are very responsible and sober judges. If there is a reason, it must be a very, very strong and compelling reasons why they have come out.
See, in democracy, judiciary's integrity is the most important thing, and public confidence is the only thing which keeps judiciary going. Otherwise, judiciary will become just another organ which can be discussed publicly and all comments can be made.
Yeah, I think it's a historic press conference. I welcome it. I think it's very well done. And as Justice Gogoi put it, they have discharged a debt to the nation. I don't want to adopt somebody else's slogan, but I think we, the people of India, have a right to know what's going on within the judiciary, and I welcome this.
Well, this is an unprecedented step. It's quite shocking. One never thought that the things will have to come to such a pass. But nevertheless, there must have been some compelling reasons for the senior-most judges to have adopted this course of action. I'm sure they exhausted all other possible remedies.
Points that have been raised by the 4 judges are extremely important. They have mentioned that there is a threat to democracy. I think it needs to be looked into. It needs to be looked into carefully.
बुद्धिजीवी हैं, ये ज्ञानी हैं, ये अपने के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं, और तो इसीलिए जब उन्होंने ऐसी बात प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस बुला के कह दिए तो इस पर समाधान निकालनी चाहिए. और क्योंकि चीफ जस्टिस और इनके बीच में कुछ सुलह नहीं हो सकी आपस में बैठकर, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि आज एक ही बाकी है, वो प्रधानमंत्री वो अपनी सेवा का प्रस्तुत करें.
ये ऐसी बात नहीं है जिससे कि कोई स्थायी नुकसान इस कोर्ट का हो या होना चाहिए. मैं समझता हूं कि जल्द से जल्द आपस में बातचीत करने के बाद समाधान निकल सकता है. निकलेगा तो हम लोग सब प्रसन्न होंगे.
जो आरोप भी जो लगे हैं, वो 7 पेज का लेटर उन्होंने जो रिलीज़ किया, उसके अंदर ये बात स्पष्ट होता है कि जुडिशरी का भी मैनिपुलेशन हो रहा है, और इस तरीके की मतलब वो सरकार के हक में जो मैनिपुलेशन हो रहा है. अब ये सवाल इतने गंभीर है कि इसके अंदर आपको पूरी की पूरी तरीके से इसकी पूरी सफाई करने की ज़रूरत है.
Well, the Indian Space Research Organization successfully launched its 100th satellite on Friday. The PSLV C-40, carrying a total of 31 satellites, lifted off from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh at 9:28 a.m. The launch vehicle is carrying 3 Indian satellites and 28 satellites from 6 other countries. The President, Prime Minister and Vice President have hailed ISRO's achievement.
It
its first mission of 2018, the Indian Space Research Organisation successfully launched its 100th satellite from Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, or PSLV, lifted off at 9:29 am, carrying weather observation satellite Cartosat-2 series, along with 3 micro and 25 nano satellites from 6 countries, including Canada, Finland, France, Korea, UK and the USA. PSLV also launched India's 1 micro and 1 nano satellite. ISRO scientists have called the mission unique since the satellites were launched in 2 orbits. 30 of the satellites were launched in an orbit 550 kilometers above the Earth and one 359 kilometers above the Earth. The total weight of satellites being carried by the PSLV C-40 is 1,323 kilograms and is being launched by the commercial wing of ISRO.
PSLV's capability of putting multiple satellites into orbit and satellites into multiple orbit. So both of them are being done in a single mission practically. So progressively PSLV has better and better capabilities. That's why you also saw, though there was a failure last time, 28 customer satellites, they had the confidence that PSLV will function satisfactorily. So that's how they had the confidence, and then we carried those 28 satellites also along with our other 3 satellites.
Cartosat-2 satellite series is deployed to observe the Earth and relay high-resolution scene-specific spot images. The images will be used for cartographic applications, urban and rural applications, coastal land use and regulation, road network monitoring, water distribution, creation of land use maps, among other things. President Ramnath Kovind congratulated ISRO for its success and called it a moment of pride for every Indian, adding that the launch is a milestone for the country. Vice President M Venkaiah Naidu also congratulated the ISRO team for the launch of its 100th satellite. In a series of tweets, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed ISRO and its scientists and said that India's rapid strides in space technology will benefit the citizens. The successful orbiting of the satellites by PSLV C-40 comes 4 months after ISRO's mission to launch backup navigation spacecraft IRNSS-1H on board PSLV-39 failed. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 22nd National Youth Festival on Friday via video conference. Addressing the event, the Prime Minister said the government wants to encourage the country's youth to become innovators and job creators. Referring to the centre's schemes like the Mudra scheme, Skill India and Startup India, the Prime Minister said there are enough platforms to help young entrepreneurs think out of the box and begin something new.
Calling on the youth to become job creators and think out of the box, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday assured them that the government is willing to handhold them and help them set up startups. The Prime Minister spoke to the students of Gautam Buddha University in Greater Noida via video conferencing during the 22nd National Youth Festival to coincide with the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekanand.
हम स्वामी विवेकानंद की उस बात को याद करते हैं. वो कहते हैं, युवा वो होता है जो बिना अतीत की चिंता किए अपने भविष्य के लक्ष्यों की दिशा में काम करता है. आप सभी युवा जो आज काम करते हैं, वही देश का भविष्य की दिशा तय करता है. और इसलिए आप जो आज संकल्प लेंगे, वही सिद्ध होकर देश को भी अपने संकल्पों की पूर्ति के लिए तैयार करेगा, सिद्धि प्राप्त करेगा.
The 5-day National Youth Festival is themed Sankalp Se Siddhi, to capture the vibrancy and fresh perspective of the youth and to pledge to accomplish the goal of New India. Later, the Prime Minister also addressed the inauguration of National Youth Day and Sarv Dharm Sabha in Belgavi, Karnataka.
स्वामी विवेकानंद जी ने कहा था, ये भारत तुम मत भूलना, तुम्हारा जीवन अपने व्यक्तिगत सुख के लिए नहीं है. ऐ वीर, गर्व से बोलो कि मैं भारतवासी हूं और प्रत्येक भारतवासी मेरा भाई है। विवेकानंद को मानना है तो भीतर से जाति का द्वेष, जाति भेद का जहर निकाल कर बाहर करना होगा, खत्म करना होगा।
Since 1985, Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary is celebrated as the National Youth Day. Born as Narendra Datta in an aristocratic family in West Bengal on the 12th of January 1863, Swami Vivekananda was a major force in bringing Hinduism to the status of a world religion in the late 19th century. He introduced Indian philosophies of Vedanta and Yoga to the Western world, and after his 1893 speech at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, he was called the messenger of Indian wisdom to the Western world. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Vice President M Venkaiah Naidu has said that Swami Vivekananda's teachings have become all the more relevant today in the wake of attempts by vociferous forces to impede progress. In an article in the Indian Express on the 155th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, Vice President Naidu said that he was a nation builder and an inspiration to every Indian. He said that it is particularly relevant for the youth of today to build a new India through motivation, education and dedication. The Vice President also said in his article that there is a need to adopt a bottom-up approach with a vision to transform villages into prosperous and self-contained economic hubs. He also expressed concern over public discourse getting sidetracked by non-issues rather than important issues and urged the media and cinema to do some serious introspection. The Vice President said that Swami Vivekananda's teachings can provide our society the eternal fountain of Ananda or happiness springing out of Viveka, wisdom. Meanwhile, Vivekananda International Foundation organized a discussion on the contributions of Swami Vivekananda in the national capital on Friday. Rajya Sabha MP Swapan Das Gupta, Pro-Chancellor of Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Institute, K. Subramaniam and Anirban Ganguly, Director of the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Research Foundation, delivered key speeches at the event. They emphasized on following the path of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary is celebrated on January 12th. This day is also observed as National Youth Day. Friday was his 155th birth anniversary.
He was the inspiration, to my mind, the real symbolic inspiration behind many of those who sacrificed their lives for the country and who brought about freedom and who propelled people to actually believe that there is a destiny of India.
At present, we have only Aparavidya. We should be happy and we will be grateful to the government of India if only it can introduce Paravidya into our educational curriculum.
Abiding sense of Indian exceptionalism in this age and time. And I think that is what is one of Swami Vivekananda's constant self-renewing message before us.
Vice President M Venkaiah Naidu said on Friday that nationalism is uniting every individual irrespective of caste, creed and religion. He was addressing a gathering during Sankranti celebrations in Nellore. The Vice President said Makar Sankranti is a celebration about our association with nature. It is the time to remember our ancestors and elders who have sacrificed many things to give better life to the next generations. Well, in other news now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been ranked third in global ratings of top world leaders in the prestigious Gallup International's annual survey. The survey, Opinion of Global Leaders, conducted across 50 nations, put Prime Minister Modi way ahead of US President Donald Trump, Chinese Premier Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The top spot in the global survey goes to French President Emmanuel Macron, followed by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Coming ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum, this is the highest ever ranking for an Indian Prime Minister in the Gallup global polls. Following Modi in the list are British Prime Minister Theresa May, who stands at the 4th spot, while Jinping is at the 5th position. Russian President Putin is at the 6th position, while US President Donald Trump is at a much lower spot. Well, shifting focus now, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat said India will not allow its territory to be invaded by anyone, asserting that China may be a powerful country, but India is not a weak nation either. He added that the country was well equipped to handle China's assertiveness.
From Pakistan and China to terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat spoke at length over a number of issues at his annual press meet in New Delhi on Friday. He called for a multi-pronged approach to deal with an assertive China that should include diplomatic and military approaches and partnerships with other countries in the region. He also added that India has an agreement with China to not change status quo, but with reports of road construction in the Bhutanese territory, India had to intervene in the territory of another country.
I have always said that our focus on the has to shift on the northern borders. For too long we've kept our focus on the western front, and now I think time has come for us to also focus on the northern border. So therefore our infrastructure development in the northern border has to be speeded up. Our requirement of the systems that we have to ginger up for that. We have to start preparing for the next kind of warfare that we will be faced with.
General Rawat also stressed on the need to manufacture weapons and military equipment in the country under the Make in India initiative. Hence, the army is giving a chance to product even with a lower GSQR or inferior quality than required. He further said the soldiers deployed in advance and strategic border sites will be equipped with modern weaponry in the next 2 years. He said surveillance has also been increased using drones.
Lower GSQR standards. It is to facilitate our industry from taking off. But it does not mean we will continue to accept those standards. What we have said is we will accept what you can give us, even if they don't meet our 100% GSQR requirements. But with the proviso that you continue working further and finally attain our GSQR. And therefore what we are doing is, for example, there are some artillery guns which have been manufactured.
The army chief also accused Pakistan of continuing to support terrorism, saying that the number of cavalry fighting vehicles have been increased to destroy Pakistani posts that support infiltration, and added that India's war casualties are lesser than that of Pakistan. With inputs from Pancharan Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, some business news now. Sensex and Nifty ended at new lifetime highs on Friday. The BSE Sensex gained 88.90 points to a record closing high of 34,592.39 points, while the Nifty closed at 10,681.25 points after gaining 30.05 points. Both the indices had hit fresh all-time highs during intraday trade as well. This was the sixth weekly gain in a row for the indices. During the week, the Sensex gained 438.54 points, while the Nifty rose 122.40 points. A robust performance by the manufacturing sector took industrial production growth to a 17-month high of 8.4% in November. However, retail inflation proved to be a dampener as it also touched a 17-month high of 5.2% in December. The manufacturing sector, which constitutes 77.63% of the index of industrial production, recorded a growth of 10.2% in November as compared to 4% a year ago. Among the other sectors, pharmaceuticals clocked the highest growth of 39.5%, followed by 29.1% in computer, electronic and optical products, and 22.6% in the automobile segment. Retail inflation, on the other hand, rose to 5.21% in December on the back of rise in prices of food items, egg and vegetables. Retail inflation was 4.88% in November. In December 2015, it was 3.41%. The higher figures have dashed hopes of an interest cut in the near future. The RBI has been asked by the government to keep inflation at 4% plus or minus 2%. The rise now beyond the comfort zone will put pressure on the central bank not to cut interest rates. Well, in other news now, the government has decided not to print the last page of passports that contains information like names of father, legal guardian, mother, spouse and address. The Ministry of External Affairs has decided to print passports in two colors. The passports in orange will be issued to those who require emigration check, and passports in blue are for those who don't need emigration checks. Existing passports are printed in blue color. However, old passports will be valid in their same format till they are expired. The decision was taken to avoid the problem arising out of single parent and adopted children. Some international news now. India has extended fresh financial assistance of $45.27 million to Sri Lanka for upgrading its KKS harbour into a commercial port. The agreement in this regard was signed on Wednesday between the Export-Import Bank of India and Sri Lanka's Ministry of Finance. The harbour's rehabilitation is being done in 6 phases, out of which 4 have already been completed under India's grant assistance. The fresh assistance will be used for the remaining 2 phases for rehabilitation of the breakwater and existing pier, construction of a new pier for commercial cargo handling, and installation of port infrastructure facilities. The KKS port, which connected Jaffna Peninsula with the rest of Sri Lanka, was destroyed by the LTTE during the civil war. Let's shift focus now and bring you up to speed with some news from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Ace boxers L. Sarita Devi and Sonia Lather advanced to the finals of the National Women's Boxing Championships in Rohtak. Former world and Asian champion Sarita Devi beat Haryana's Monica 5-0. Sarita will now face Railways' Pavitra. In another match, world silver medalist Sonia Lather defeated All India Police's Sandhya Rani 5-0. She will now face youth world champion Shashi Chopra. The International Cricket Council gave an official warning to the Melbourne Cricket Ground in relation to the poor rating given to the pitch for the 4th Ashes Test. The MCG came into controversy after the 4th Ashes between Australia and England ended in a draw, despite Australia scoring 327 and 263 for 4 in their 2 innings, while England scored 491 in their only innings. In another cricket-related controversy, the International Cricket Council denied claims made by Sri Lanka Cricket that it has been cleared in an anti-corruption investigation. On Tuesday, SLC claimed that the governing body had found no evidence against them following allegations of match-fixing and other corruption. However, the ICC clarified that the investigations are still on, denying Sri Lanka Cricket's claims. Lionel Messi struck twice as Barcelona beat Celta Vigo 5-0 to advance to the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey. Messi scored 2 goals in quick succession in the space of 3 minutes. He scored the opener in the 13th minute, following his second in the 15th to give his side a 2-0 lead over Celta. Jordi Alba scored the third, while Luis Suarez and Ivan Rakitic scored the 4th and 5th goal respectively. By the white tiger and Asiatic black bear, the mascots of the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Games are called Suhorang and Bandabi. White tiger Suhorang will be the mascot for the 2018 Olympic Games, while Asiatic black bear Bandabi for the Paralympic Games. The Pyeongchang 2018 Olympic Winter Games will be held from February 9th to 25th and the Paralympic Games from March 9th to 18th. Well, that's it on this newscast. Good night.